friends. How are you today? It's so good to see you again. My name is Miss Danielle. It is such a pretty day today. I cannot wait. I'm going to go a little later and get to go outside with my kids and have some fun. But first, I wanted to share a very special story with you. Right now, it is nearly Easter. Do y'all know when Easter is? Easter is on a Sunday. Now, do you know what Easter is about? Well, I'm going to share a story with you. I know we can have lots of fun hunting eggs and maybe even taking pictures with the Easter bunny, and all that stuff is a whole lot of fun. But the most important part about Easter is what I want to share with you. So we are going to jump ahead and read this story right here. Jesus saves his people. Now, the story comes from different parts of the Bible, but all in the New Testament. That's the last, later part of the Bible. There's the Old and then the New Testament. So these are from the first couple books in the New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts. All of them talk about Jesus and his life on earth. Let's start the story. Jesus and his disciples traveled towards Jerusalem for the last time. Jesus had done many wonderful and amazing things, but the chief priests and scribes were very angry with him. So angry, they wanted to kill him. Jesus stopped at a small village along the way and said to two of his disciples, "Go into the village. You'll find a young donkey tied there that no one has ever ridden. Bring it here. And if anyone asks what you're doing, say that the Lord needs it." So the disciples found the donkey. As they untied it, some people asked what they were doing. "The Lord needs it," they said, and the people let them go. Can you find the donkey? Yeah. Okay. So Jesus rode the donkey into Jerusalem. A great crowd of people came out to see him. They covered the road with their robes, and with leafy branches, they shouted, "Hosanna! He who comes in the name of the Lord is the blessed one." Do you see Jesus? Now, do you see these right here? A lot of people call them palm branches. They come from a palm tree. And sometimes a lot of people, the week before Easter, they celebrate something called Palm Sunday. And it refers to, or it helps us remember the palm branches that people laid down in their robes when they celebrated Jesus. Okay, let's find out what happens next. When the time for Passover came, Jesus shared the meal with his 12 disciples. He took some bread, gave thanks for it, and gave it to them. "Take this," he said. "This is my body, which I give for you." Then he took a cup, gave thanks, and gave it to them. "This is my blood," he said. "It's shed for the forgiveness of sin." Then, after singing some songs, Jesus and the disciples went out. All except Judas, the one who would betray him. He had already slipped away. Which person in here do you think is Judas? Can you guess? This one right here. He doesn't look very happy, does he? Jesus and his disciples went into a garden called Gethsemane. "Wait here," Jesus said. Then he took Peter, James, and John deeper into the garden. "Stay awake with me while I pray," he said. Then, after going a little further, Jesus fell on the ground and he prayed, "Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. But let your will be done, not mine." When Jesus came back, he found the disciples sleeping. "Couldn't you stay awake with me for 1 hour?" he asked. Jesus went away to pray again. And again he returned to find his disciples sleeping. He returned and found his disciples sleeping. After praying a third time, he came back and said, "Are you still sleeping? Get up. My betrayer is coming." Can you find Jesus? And then who are these people right here? Yeah, it's the disciples, and they're sleeping. At that moment, Judas appeared with a large mob of people. They were carrying swords and clubs. Judas went right up to Jesus and kissed him. This was the sign to the mob to arrest Jesus. Then they grabbed Jesus, and all of his disciples ran away, leaving him alone with the mob. Jesus was taken to see the high priest. "Tell us if you are the Son of God," he shouted. "You have said it," Jesus answered. The high priest tore his robes, and the crowd shouted, "He should die!" Then they slapped him and beat him and spit in his face. When the morning came, they took Jesus to Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate wanted to free Jesus, but the crowd shouted, "Crucify him!" Because Pilate was afraid of the people, he sent Jesus to be killed. Roman soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns, and they put it on his head. "Hail, Jesus, King of the Jews," they laughed, and then they led him away. See Jesus here, he's with the priests. And in this picture, you can see the cross. And look, there's the crown of thorns. That would hurt so much. Let's see what happens next. Jesus was then taken to a place called Golgotha and nailed to a cross. 2 criminals were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. For 3 hours, darkness covered the land. Then Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" After that, he gave up his spirit and died. A great earthquake shook the land, and the soldiers guarding Jesus said he was really God's son. That evening, a follower of Jesus named Joseph of Arimathea came and asked Pilate for Jesus' body. He wrapped it in fine linen and placed it in a new tomb. After rolling a great stone in front of the tomb, he left. Pilate sent guards to watch over the tomb. See, Jesus on the cross. This one's Jesus, and these 2 are the criminals. And then what do you see in front of here? Yes, a large stone. That looks like it would be so hard to move. On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to the tomb. Suddenly, a violent earthquake shook the ground, and an angel appeared and rolled away the stone. The guards fainted with terror. "Jesus isn't here," the angel told the women. "He has risen, just as he said he would. Go and tell the disciples." The women ran to share the good news. Just then, Jesus stepped out to meet them. The woman fell down and they worshiped him. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Go and tell the disciples to meet me in Galilee." Jesus stayed on earth for another 40 days and was seen by many people. Then he returned to heaven. So, did Jesus stay dead? No, he rose again. Let's find out what they say next. Before Jesus returned to heaven, he gave his disciples a job to do. Go and share the good news of his kingdom with the whole world. And Jesus gives that very same job to you. Go and tell everyone about him, about Jesus. Wow, that was such an amazing story. Thank you so much for letting me share that with you. I want you this week to try to find a time to tell one of your friends or your mom or dad or somebody about Jesus. Tell them about what you learned. I can't wait to see you again. Bye.